So for this one, when you do this equation, y equals m times x plus b, where m equals the slope, okay, which is equal to the rise over the run. And we'll explain what that means in just a second. So just kind of jot that down. Let me make that look more like an R. It's all right. All right. So now B, we'll write this over here to the side. B is what we call the y-intercept. Now that just means that's where it crosses the y-axis. So on all these problems, you're going to identify the slope as a fraction, and then you're going to identify the y-intercept. So on this one, we'll change the colors up a little bit. The 1/2 is the number in front of the x. So that's the slope. So your slope is equal to 1/2. Now, the slope is the rise over run, so if the positive number is on top, that means you go up. Usually, if you have a negative number, you toss that in the top. And then your bottom number will almost always be positive, so that means you go to the right. Because these are really like the change in x and y. So it's like, think of because slope really means, I'll write it over here on the side because we're running out of room. It means well, there's a symbol we call delta y, which means change in y over the change in x. Okay. And so, however, if the top number is negative, that means you go down, right? And the root where that comes from is this is the y-axis. So this is like the positive y value going up, and going down is negative, okay? But we almost always rig it up so the bottom number, which is the x, goes to the right, because going to the right is positive in the x direction, and going to the left is negative in the x direction. The next thing that we want to identify is the y-intercept. Now you almost always want to include the sign in front of it. That's a positive 3. Now what that means is that I'm going to cross the x-axis at 3. Or not the x-axis, the y-axis, sorry. The B is the y-intercept. So that means I'm going to go from the origin up 1, 2, 3. And that's where my line is going to cross the y-intercept, or the y-axis. From there, I'm going to go up 1. Whoops. Eraser. I'm going to go up 1. From there, I'm going to go up 1 value. Oh, shoot. Got to change the colors. I'm going to go up 1, and then I'm going to go over 2. So from here, I'm going to go up 1 unit. That's my up 1. And we would call that the rise. Write all this down at first, okay? And then we're going to go over 2. So I'm going to go over 1, 2. And that would be what I call the run. And we put another dot there. And then we just repeat that. I go up 1 over 2, put a dot there. Now you can go in the opposite direction too. You can go down 2 over 1 this way. Go down 2 over this way. And now what you do is you connect those dots. So you draw a line through those dots. That's it. And that's it. That's how you graph. And that represents the graph y equals 1/2 x plus, I'll run out of space, 3. Okay? So let's go ahead and try to do one here. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
What is the slope?
1 over 3.
Mm-hmm. You don't need the x. What is the y-intercept? 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to 1, right? Remember, this is the y-axis. And I'm going to go to positive 1, which is here. From there, what do I do?
Go up 1 over 3.
Yep. So I go up 1 over 3. From there, I can do that again. I'm going to go up 1 over 3. And really, you could do it with just 2 dots. I like to do 3 dots just in case, because sometimes you can make a mistake. It's a funny story. I made a mistake earlier today when I was teaching this. You could go in the opposite direction, though, too. So I like to go in the opposite direction. You can go down 1 over 3 in the other direction, down 1 over 3 in the other direction. And they should form a straight line if you did everything right. Sometimes you can miscount stuff, too. And you draw your line, and that is the graph. Okay, let's do the next one. What do you think the slope is here?
Negative 2x. I mean, negative 2 over 5.
Mm-hmm. And what's the y-intercept?
1. Negative 1.
Yeah, don't forget that negative sign, right? Okay, so now I'm going to go down to negative 1, which is right here. What do you think I do with this negative 2, 5 thing?
Go up.
No, you go down.
Go down 2 over 5.
Yep. So
negative.
Yeah. So just the top part should be negative. If you can pick one or the other. I always like to do the top.
Okay.
But don't do both. So I'm going to go down to 1, 2, and then I'm going to go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. From the y-intercept. And you could go the opposite direction too. I can go up 1, 2, and then go over 1, 2, 4, 5. And then draw the line there. And then we go from, this is the hard part, is getting it to line up with all 3. Yeah. Oops. All right, let's move on to the next one. What's the slope?
3x. Well, 3.
Yeah, sort of. I need a rise over run, so how can I write 3 so I have a rise over run? Can I write it like this?
Or the other way around. Or you can keep it like that.
No, you just put a 1 underneath that.
Oh.
Because what's 3 divided by 1?
3.
Yeah. Well, what about the y-intercept? What's that?
It's 2.
Mm-hmm. All right, put my little dot at 2. And now what do I do to get to the next dot?
Go up 3 over 1.
Yep. So I go up 1, 2, 3 over 1. And I could go the other way too. I could go down 3 over 1, down 3 over 1. Is that right? Yeah. And then we can make our line. If I go down 3 over 1, that'd be about right here. So, probably start about right here. That's not the right color, but that's okay. That'll work. Okay. All right, let's do the next one. What's the slope?
2 over 3.
And what's the y-intercept?
-3.
Okay. You tell me what I do next.
Go up 2 over 3.
From where?
Oh, don't you have to go down 3?
Yeah, we gotta do the y-intercept first, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll do that. Now what do I do?
And then you would go up 2 over 3.
And then you can repeat that. You can go in the other direction too. Remember, it has to make a line. Then connect the dots. Okay, 2 more and we'll be done. This is a trick question. What's the slope?
Could it be 1 over 1?
Very good. Very good. Yeah, it's 1 over 1 because it's 1x.
Yeah.
And then what's our y-intercept?
2.
Positive 2. So, yeah, that's fine. And so then we put this here. Now what do I do?
You would go up over 1.
Yeah, so we go up 1 over 1, 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 and then draw a line. Oh, got a little gung ho on my line drawing. Sweet. Last one. What's the slope there, Chica?
1 over 3.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I messed up my whole color scheme here. 1 over 3, and then what is the y-intercept?
-5.
You got it. Now tell me how I graph this.
Go down -5, -5.
Mm-hmm.
y-axis. Yeah.
Yeah, on the y-axis, then what?
And then you will go up 1
Mm-hmm.
over 3.
And you draw a line through those. And that's it. Pretty sneaky, sis.